What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Left Look. It is February the 4th, and I'm here with my two best friends, DJ.
Hello.
And Jacob.
Good day, sir.
And I'm Julian. I don't say that enough.
You should say that. I guess we don't do that. That's that's such an oversight. Good,
I know.
Good spot. Good spot.
Correcting it here. I'm being accountable.
I don't know. It's kind of a nice narrative trope. Who is this mysterious force behind the lingo?
Yeah, just a third person. We don't know who it is.
Who is this social glue who keeps us together?
It's Left Look. It's the premier independent podcast from the Gatto Institute, where we will be taking a look at Canadian international arts, culture, and entertainment to provide you with an unbiased left-wing perspective. Il s'agit du premier podcast indépendant de l'Institut Gatto, où nous pensons sur l'art, la culture, et le divertissement canadien et international pour vous offrir une perspective impartiale de gauche.
Straight.
There were little bumps here and there, but that was pretty good.
Yeah. He's trying to put a I don't care about the French kind of expression in it. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not trying to do anything.
I just don't care about the French. That's fucking funny. Also, really demeaning to half of our supposed audience in Canada.
He was born in England. What do you want from him?
Is he actually born in England?
Who?
Julian.
Oh, weren't you born in England, Julian?
No.
I don't think so. No, his grandfather is English, if I have my genealogy correct.
Close enough, yeah.
I thought, by happenstance, you were born there, but
no.
I must be thinking of somebody else.
I did spend a year there when I was 3. So,
interesting.
Kind of born.
So, during your formative years.
Yes.
That's where you picked it up.
Can you imagine you come in the first... I met Julian in junior kindergarten. Imagine I think it was senior kindergarten actually, but imagine he comes in 5 years old and he goes, "You what, mate?" Like, we wouldn't be friends chaff today. I would just be such a dick about that.
Yeah, I'd be the kid who got bullied to death.
Oh yeah. I don't think our experiences were that far off of that description. But anyways, welcome to Left Look, listeners. Jesus, knocked my head off the microphone. Just some housekeeping to start the episode. We will be starting a new project on YouTube specifically, where I will be reading books, philosophy and nonfiction books, hopefully mostly, just into YouTube to boost our algorithm rate. And also, you can, see what I like to read. I'm going to be starting with a book by Jacques Derrida, one of my favorites. It's called Voice and Phenomenon. Phenom, actually. The title is never transliterated, but it's it's one of the first books that helped me think that people don't make decisions, that there's no such thing as a soul or a pilot on board the ship. And so hopefully you find it interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to it.
Any sneak peeks?
Well, I would say, if you really want to only listen to the important parts, you should listen to Chapter 5, which is a summation of the entire book. And it's called, the chapter is called In the Blink of an Eye, or something like that. In German, it's Im selben Augenblick. Oh. And in it, he dismantles a phenomenology, a Husserlian phenomenology that depends on a time point for there to be a soul. And the way he explains it is that you really delve into it and there's never really a punctual point in time. And therefore, the explanation that gives rise to a soul or a pilot on your ship doesn't work, right? And though he does it much more beautifully and gracefully than that.
And in German.
In French, Derrida.
Oh. Why would the...
Husserl is in German, so you have to go back to in fact, there's a lot of German words I had to struggle through. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, but look forward to that, listeners.
Yeah. Enough about the Europeans. We're done.
Actually, aren't we going right back? No, we're doing the Chinese balloon. Right.
Well, hang on. One more thing from YouTube world. We got our first comment, guys.
Yo.
That was awesome. That felt so good. I don't think you were here. I don't think you were here when we read it aloud, DJ, but it said...
Oh, no, I was hoping you were going to do it on air right now for my and everyone else's convenience.
Yeah,
Julian got a comment. Yep. On episode 26, post on YouTube. Check us out on YouTube.
What was episode 26?
That was the AI art one.
Oh, that was a good episode. We had our resident artists, though, giving us really good takes.
Yes.
DJ.
And
Oh, yeah, that's me. Hi.
the comment says, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. You may want to look at promo 'SM.
Yeah. And so that is a company that helps promote your YouTube channel. And so that felt really good. This guy wants us to work harder and do better. It was kind of a backhanded compliment, but
I also worry that's probably a bot, but
Yeah.
let's
Still
pretend
good.
it's not.
he
For
had
our
an
ego.
African-ass name. No way a bot uses a name like that.
Fabio?
You'd be surprised.
I blew that then. Was it Fabio? Because that sounds bot as fuck. His last name sounded African to me.
Fabio Cataneo.
Cataneo. That sounds Italian now that I'm relating it with Fabio. I just wasn't listening very well.
They have
Anyways.
no playlist, no about. They joined in 2018, if that tells
Ooh.
us anything.
Hey,
He's
4
young.
years.
Anyways,
Yeah.
let's talk about the Chinese balloon. You guys heard about this? I know Julian has. I want to hear what DJ's heard about
Hang
it
on.
to start.
Say that again. Let's talk about Chinese balloon. Say that again.
Okay, sorry. Let's talk about the Chinese balloon. I didn't expect that. I thought you had like a sound, I don't know what I was expecting, a pop, a balloon inflating sound.
Nope, just the regular stuff. With regards to your question, I just heard about it on the news the other day. I turned on the radio for about 5 minutes just to catch the news at noon. Surprise, there's a balloon. And the US went, hey, we don't like that. And China went, it was kind of an accident. And then now there's a big diplomatic fallout. Question mark, the guy canceled his trip. Oh no. That's all I know. And now it's headed over to the eastern seaboard, and
Yeah, it flew over.
most people don't care, but
No,
a lot of
no
people
one
do.
cares. No one cares except for absolutely crazy whack job NatSec, national
Yeah.
security people, just absolute goons, ghouls who would their eyes light up when they think of a nuclear exchange, disgusting people. But anyways, I have an interesting take on this, I think, and so I'm going to let Julian take it for a bit.
Take what? Talk about the balloon?
Yeah.
The balloon, yeah, take the balloon.
Okay, yeah, I'll take the balloon.
Oh no, he's floating away. Oh no, Julian, come back. No.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a weather balloon. I don't know why anyone cares. Or maybe
Well,
it's not a weather balloon. There's no knowing anything.
It's obviously a weather balloon that's meant to spy, right? It's it is a weather balloon that the security apparatus of the Chinese has hacked into, right? As anything that is corporate or, scientific by any government, it is completely infested by military interest and things like that. NASA doesn't get shit done without the Navy's say so. You know what I mean? The Air Force, I should have said there.
That would have made more sense.
Yeah, I thought
Hey,
Air Force. Ships. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, ships in space, spaceships, the Navy.
Yeah.
I get your logic.
Yeah, it should be the Navy, actually. That's where I'm at, that the Navy should run spaceships because the Navy runs all ships, right? And that's what a ship is. But anyways.
Can't argue with that.
Yeah.
What is a plane but an airship, really?
So the NatSec advisors to Joe Biden, it's over Montana, I think, right now, or somewhere in the Midwest. And they said you shouldn't shoot it down because they're worried about debris falling and hitting a civilian. And I didn't know they cared about civilians, for one. And two, if they had seen the World War One documentary movie about the Red Baron, they would see that you just need to use a flare gun to shoot down balloons with a pilot. I'm sure that balloon is so freaking high in the air. That was a joke. No, but I really couldn't care less about this. But the Chinese had a very interesting response to what they thought about this balloon. Listen to this. The state-controlled China daily newspaper reported. To spy on the U.S. with a balloon, one must both fall far behind to use a 1940s technology and be advanced enough to control its flight across the ocean. Those fabricating this lie only show their ignorance. That's so fucking great. Like,
Yeah.
so we're at the same time, completely backwards technologically and far ahead of you, and we're spying on you. What is wrong with you? Is what that fucking voice says. I love it. I think that's so good. But, they're definitely using it to spy. It may have not ended up there on purpose, but, they're going to give up the chance to get some really good pictures of the U.S. My ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And whether or not it was intentionally,
yeah, exactly.
hacked or put there or blown there, I don't know, but it's kind of funny either way.
You sound like the Godfather in the first movie. He's talking about bringing Michael back from Italy, and he says, "I'm a superstitious man. If he's hit by lightning, then I do not forgive." And it's the point of that is that there are no accidents. You're all in control, and if something happens, I blame you, right? And that's the way international politics works. There are no accidents. People make calls and people make decisions at the top.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but it's actually a non-issue.
Yeah, for everyone, like, living.
Exactly.
For everyone has, I don't know, tasks, really meaningful tasks. The viewers can't see my air quotes. Wow, this is a big balloon. This is the hot button. We gotta ready the IBMs. We gotta, wow, China's coming. Bunker down in Anchorage, everyone.
Yeah. I saw an Onion heading. I don't know if it was an actual Onion article, but it just said "Nation surrenders to balloon."
Oh, that's so good. They did. They rolled over. It's invading their airspace, and they're not doing shit about it.
Yeah, that's the weird part, right? They're just like clearly shitting a brick over this balloon, but doing absolutely nothing about it.
Oh, they don't give a fuck. They're so happy that balloon's there. They're like, look at this propagandic piece we get to sell to our fucking gorillas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The fucking subhuman people who inhabit the southern states,
And that's such an important point, is that there's no way they didn't know a balloon was coming to their borders.
Yes, and couldn't have shot it down well over the sea.
They could have shot it down over China's airspace.
Damn straight they could have. They're the world empire. Nothing happens without their say-so. They're the Fourth Reich.
Yeah. But, here's a balloon. Let's make a big deal over it. Let's cancel some diplomatic trips to cause a stink.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's all just a play.
All right. I'm going to transition.
Sure, yeah. Speaking of plays.
Oh, fuck.
On the diplomatic stage.
Were you trying to relate that to the next news piece? Because I don't see how it matches.
Because, I don't know. The news is all useless and none of it really matters.
It doesn't. Bringing this news focus back locally, a long-serving community servant, civil servant, Hazel McCallion, who served as the mayor of Mississauga for like 30 years. Mm-hmm. She died recently, and a bunch of socialist pages I follow that I know are Ontarian dabbed on this lady's grave, just talking about what a, vicious ghoul of capitalism she was as like the day she died, right? And don't get me wrong, I'm not for never speaking ill of the dead, right? If they've done something egregious or something that you think is so outside of social norms that you have to speak up. What comes to mind is Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa was seen as the saint on media when she died, right? And Christopher Hitchens, made a lot of money.
Hay.
Really, yeah, that's what I was looking for. He made a lot of hay off of talking shit about this lady who was obviously a horrible lady. She believed that suffering brought people closer to God, and so denied the people in her care any modern medicine or any kind of help whatsoever, even like Advil, I've read. Right? So
it's true.
She's a disgusting woman, and the world is better off without her, right?
If you rearrange the letters of Advil, it's pretty close to devil.
So that was something that needed to be spoke up about. But Hazel McCallion is just like an old woman, right? Like she had she supported the Liberals most of her life. She was asked to run as premier in 2013, but instead decided to support Kathleen Wynne. You know, so she's not a great person for our politics, right? But she's not horrid, right? The worst thing that she said that I could find online, well, two things actually. In 2001, she said, you know, they're not real refugees, talking about people. Yeah, that's pretty rough, right? But, you know, I think she's just rich, you know, big fucking deal. And
who was she talking about? Sorry.
Refugees coming to live in Mississauga. I don't think there was a specific ethnic group attached to it, which is why I don't really fucking care about it, right? It's just like a disdain towards the third world that overcomes racism. It is racist, but it doesn't have a racist intention. You know?
Right. It's not pointed. It's just a broad stroke.
Yeah. It's unconscious. And then the other thing that she did that was horrid, it was in her last months, she supported Dougie Ford's expansion into the Greenbelt around Toronto, right? The industrial and commercial expansion into the Greenbelt. And I was confused by the hatred of this, sincerely, because as I say all the time, the Liberals want 100 million people by 2100. That Greenbelt is a lie, and they fucking hate you, right? They hate your guts, and they think you're stupid, and so I don't see how regular people can get upset about that when the Greenbelt has always been, you know, just an illusion, just a trick, you know?
What do you mean by that? Like it just doesn't exist, or
it exists for now, but one day they're going to wave a magic wand and say rezoned. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because the necessities of 100 million people will demand it. You know what I mean? The only way to accommodate that many people is to be urbanized as fuck. You know what I mean? Like, and so that requires expansion.
For sure. Poor Greenbelt. Never saw it coming.
Back to these socialist pages that were dancing on her grave. Those crimes are not egregious enough to break one of the Latin tenets. In my favorite movie ever, Lawrence of Arabia, the movie opens with Lawrence driving a motorcycle and then he dies, and then he's buried, I think, in Westminster Abbey, right? In a very important abbey in England,
right?
And the preacher says, you know, nil nisi bonum, which means do not speak ill of the dead. And that phrase works because it views politics as your individual advancing. If you don't have that individual advancing of politics, of your own politics, then your politics will never work, right? So being able to shield yourself from the negativity attached to being negative about a dead old lady is bad politics. And the page I saw specifically that did it was Big Dog Socialism, and I usually love their takes, but they've had a couple takes recently where I'm like, these people are damaging the movement. You know what I mean?
You're becoming more critical.
I don't know. Maybe I'm becoming more right-wing. It's unfortunate about it.
Yeah, I'll go on record and say she's a bitch.
Okay, she was a bitch, right? And we can say that now, but she's out of the news cycle now, right? Trying to grab people's attention while she just died and trying to spark a conversation about that is just going to make more, you know, Gen Xers shut you out because they're like...
That's exactly what we're going to do with this episode, though, isn't it?
What? Let's talk about stupid...
draw attention to her death and...
No, it's...
with it.
She's been dead for a week at least, come on.
She's been dead for weeks. And
like 3 weeks by the time I get this out.
And what we're really doing is pointing out that our fellow leftists should have a little more tact, is all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's valid.
Yeah. Yeah, we're the only good leftist podcast.
Yeah, we definitely need to make the leftist sphere more divisive.
As any good leftist, we're the best leftists, right? Yeah. All leftists... sorry, what do you get when you get 2 leftists in a room? 3 breakaway parties.
Yeah.
Anyways,
4, if you're good.
Yeah, if you're Trotskyites.
Yeah.
If you, what was the last piece of news we had before our article?
Hang on. I got a joke to make.
Yep.
Mother Teresa. I didn't know she was like that, like about the suffering thing.
Uh-huh.
Maybe it's more like Mother treats you bad.
Mother Teresa May.
You walked the joke so far back just for that that punchline.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, thanks for coming.
Couldn't get it in the moment.
That's all right. These things happen. Jacob has no space for jokes in his bits.
You just got to speak over me, and I'll stop. I'll just pick up on it.
There is no speaking over you.
for such a lame joke, then
It does.
kind of
It does add
moment.
some seasoning to it.
Yeah.
We do have a duty to the listeners to fill up airspace. You know what I mean? If there's dead space, then I feel like we've done a disservice.
Yeah.
What was the last piece of news that we wanted to talk
I
about?
believe you wanted to update everyone on the
Ukraine.
war in the east, in Eastern Europe.
Only because we do it every episode. There is basically nothing to update. The Russians are in the middle of mounting their offensive. Bakhmut has basically fallen, in my opinion. The Russians are making a drive on the second and last road that connects Bakhmut to the western territory of Ukraine, which means that they can't supply the city, and that defending it is, won't happen.
Yeah, it's not feasible.
tenable.
Right.
Yeah. And so that will be a major shift, but then we'll see what happens, because the F-16s and the tanks should start arriving in the next few weeks. So the update is Russians are on the offensive, but we'll see, basically.
Right. Yeah, it sounds like the Ukrainian forces are getting a lot more support from NATO. How do you weigh in on that?
Well, you only give more if you think they're losing, is basically where I'm at. But giving more will prevent them from losing.
Right.
The F-16 is a beautiful plane. It is a dogfighting miracle. It will obliterate basically anything but the Su-57, which is the fifth gen Russian plane. And I don't even think they have any of those left. I can't confirm.
Right. Didn't they sell a bunch of them?
No, those were the 37s, I think, but those are a fourth gen plane. They would never sell a fifth gen plane. The Americans, their F-22, they don't sell that to anybody. You know what I mean? The Japanese have been begging for decades to get the F-22, and I did this bit a couple episodes ago that they had begged so long that they were like, "Fuck it, we'll do our own fighter, and we're gonna make it better." And they're making their own sixth gen right now, and they actually recently partnered with the British. The British and the Jap program have merged for their sixth gen fighter.
Not this again.
The British and the Japanese are what's the word? Natural allies. You know what I mean?
They're both islands.
Exactly. They have similar interests, and the way that they play politics to keep everyone divided so they don't get crushed is, it just lines up.
Yeah, they should really get Indonesia in on that, but probably too close to Japan.
Indonesia is one of those countries that could take over the world if they got their shit together. You know what I mean?
Come on, give them a chance.
It's
one of those countries you play in the map game when you're feeling like a dark horse playthrough.
Man, they are linguistically divided, and they're ethnically divided, and they've got all this shit, and they had genocides perpetrated on them by the Australians and the Americans over the last little bit. They got the Sultan of Brunei who claims their land and is like the best CIA asset in the world. But they have natural resources, hundreds of millions of people, a very defensive geography. If they got off the chain, they would be unstoppable. But they're never going to, because they have been kept down pretty professionally.
This sounds like a great work of fiction. A great work of fission. A great work of fiction for somebody to tap into. Not I.
No, me neither.
Jacob, it's all on you.
The Javanese are the main.
The Javanese.
The Empire of Java. Oh, that's got such a nice ring to it.
And then they dominate the rest of the peoples. I think there's like 1,500 nationalities and ethnicities. So if those Javanese manage to dominate their subject peoples enough that they could get them, I don't know, dual linguistic and their elites at least, that's fucking dangerous.
Yeah,
but probably not going to happen.
Probably not.
Whoa. What is
that?
No.
It's Javanese.
Is that from Civ 5? Is that what that is?
Civ 6, I think, actually.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. The Hut, I'm afraid we have to blast off to a different topic because we're running out of steam.
Yep. Let's blast off.
Yeah. Dang, they sure don't make rocket thrusters like they used to. I remember them sounding way different as a kid.
I didn't expect him to hit a rocket booster sound that time.
I do have one that would have been good for the balloon, actually.
Yeah.
I'm a little... Or actually... No, never mind.
Okay, Julian got stage fright. It's okay. He'll play it at the end of the episode or something.
Yeah.
So, what, are we just driving right into these articles?
Yeah, that sounds
take
good.
us in.
Okay, well, let's
You're
see if I
reading
can...
this time.
Sure.
He reads every time.
I do a lot of reading. I do like to read.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've got a couple articles lined up here. Let's see how many we can get burned through. I'd like to begin this segment by saying that it's slim pickings out there because the news is evil, and I have been shut out of most news websites now because I refuse to pay for what I believe should be public access.
That's hilarious. Oh, we should start actually before you jump in, because this is the second time we're shitting on the English and their best schools as no longer the best schools because the internet has done away with that kind of elitism. What was the last time? What was it called? Effective altruism.
Right.
You called out effective altruism like months before that Sam Bankman-Fried guy went down, and he was like the main funder of that.
He was a kingpin.
You really know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know if we covered that on air, but you were way ahead of the curve there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you were like a full month ahead of Chapo Trap House on that.
It was an interesting article, yeah, and I remember even after the Bankman-Fried stuff, I feel like it's blown over by now. Am I okay to say that? Blew over?
Yeah.
What do you mean blown over?
It's not relevant news at this point. It's come and gone.
I keep watching that Bankman-Fried thing. I'll be watching that until the end of that trial. That guy deserves to be executed, in my opinion. But
for sure, but you're a little more
militant,
astute. Sure, yeah, call it what you will. But yeah, there was a response from the main organization on that point, and I remember they were just like, "Yep, he sure did f up, but oops."
Wait, sorry, the guy who was like the Oxford academic effective altruism tried to do a defense of Sam Bank?
No,
so good.
Not that guy, not the one mentioned in the article, but like the head of that organization that he made, that he like founded. Yeah, they were
That's so funny.
Yeah, he really kind of strayed from the path. It was a kind of a fun little cover up.
It wasn't a con the whole time.
Yeah.
It was a mistake.
Yeah. Well, he might have done this.
Altruism.
We represent that,
They had a Snapchat group called Wire Fraud.
Uh-huh.
Like, how fucking ballsy can you be? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
they were.
sorry.
No, that's all right. It was. Those were crazy times. But speaking of crazy times, yeah, we've got this article here from Big Think. Big Think, thank you for letting me read your articles without having to pay.
Shout out Big Think.
Shout out to Big Think. It was written on January 26th of this year by a fellow named Johnny Thompson, and I believe we will get to the English school shitting on after the article.
yes.
The article is titled, and I'm going to apologize here. This German last name is very hard for my mouth to produce the noises, but I believe it's Bonhoeffer. Bonhoeffer's Theory of Stupidity, we have
Is
more
it
to fear.
H-O-E?
It is H-O-E, and it's like
I bet it's heifer.
No, I looked up the pronunciation. That's how.
Ooh.
But now
Okay.
I'm being about this. They use
I'm
one
sorry.
of those. They use one of those O's with the crosses for it on the
I see.
pronunciation guide. So it's just one of those noises English doesn't have, and it's like an ooh.
It's like an umlaut.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like an umlaut.
We had a fact check.
Yeah. Anyways, we have more to fear from stupid people than evil ones, and that's really all this article dives into. Do you think I should read it? It's a pretty short read.
Yeah.
We've got some time to spare. Okay, I'll read through it quick.
We got
We'll interrupt.
Sure, yeah, there's a subtitle here. Evil is easy to identify and fight against, not so with stupidity. There's some key takeaways for any visually impaired. This article has an AI-generated speech for you to listen to, which that's nice. Let's dive in. There's an internet adage, off to a good start. There's an internet adage that goes, debating an idiot is like trying to play chess with a pigeon. It knocks over the pieces, craps on the board, and flies back to its flock to claim victory. It's funny and astute.
That's very like a pigeon to be very boastful about its victories.
Right, yeah, it totally would. It would totally just go back to to its mate and skin them and go, yeah, babe, I did it.
Yeah.
I'm such a big winner.
It's what pigeons are known for.
Yeah, they're crazy little birds. It's funny and astute. It's also deeply depressing and worrying. I'm paraphrasing here because I keep skipping over words. Although we'd never say so, we all have people in our lives we think of as a bit dim, not necessarily about everything, but certainly about some things. Most of the time, we laugh this off. After all, stupidity can be pretty funny. When my friend asked a group of us recently what Hitler's last name was, we laughed. When my brother learned only last month that reindeer are real animals, well, that's funny. Good-natured ribbing about a person's ignorance is an everyday part of life. Stupidity,
Remember, kids,
though...
bullying brings you closer together.
It's true. That's what most friendships are built off of. You friggin' bonehead. Stupidity, though, has its dark side. For theologian and philosopher Dietrich Bonhoeffer, Bonhoeffer, there's no bone in here. Maybe there was.
It sounds Dutch or Flemish to me, and let's just not respect those people.
Just straight up German. Just straight up. A Wikipedia page says Silesia.
Silesia?
Yeah,
Isn't that
Silesia.
Polish?
Very contested lands. It was Austrian for a long time. It was Polish. It's in Bavaria now.
No, Silesia is not in Bavaria. Silesia is to the north of the Czech Republic.
Yeah.
It was German, and now it's Polish. It's completely Polish.
At the time of his death, it was part of Bavaria. I should have clarified that.
Animals?
Not Bavaria. Germany.
We'll talk about this later, Julian. I'll fill you in later. Right. Rudolph does exist. I can guarantee you that.
Oh, thank God.
Anyways, he states that the stupid person is often more dangerous than the evil one. In comic books, there's a subtitle. I'll read it too. The Enemy Within. In comic books and action movies, we know who the villain is, and this is important writing advice here for anyone interested. Mm-hmm. They wear dark clothes, kill on a whim, cackle madly at diabolical schemes. In life, too, we have obvious villains. The dictators who violate human rights, or serial killers and violent criminals. And there can be some gray area there too, but that's me filling in. As evil as these people are, they are not the biggest threat, since they are known. Once something is a known evil, the good of the world can rally to defend and fight against it. As Bonhoeffer puts it, one may protest against evil, it can be exposed and, if need be, prevented by the use of force. Evil always carries within itself the germ of its own subversion.
Did this guy die before World War I? It sounded like he died before World War I.
Let's dive into a bit of this guy's life. Dietrich Bonhoeffer was born in 1906.
1906,
pre-World War. Died during the collapse of the Nazi regime. Was one of the last batch of people hung by the Nazi regime.
So like 44, 45.
45, April of 45. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So he was captured. He was captured 1930s for his clearly what I just stated, for his views on what makes an evil person. Just locked up, concentration camp for about a decade and a bit, and then just hung because they were scared of this guy.
He deserves what he got, in my opinion.
He was a reverend, actually. He was a reverend.
He's like, the evil people aren't the ones you should be scared about, and then he gets fucking killed by evil people. That's good. That's good.
It's there's a little more depth to it than that, but definitely lived during a crazy time, and an especially crazy time to be pointing the finger at what is evil and what is not.
Yeah. Can we just stop for a second?
Sure.
How much more is left, actually?
There's 10 paragraphs. They're short paragraphs.
All right, keep rolling. I'll hold the bit.
Sure, yeah. Stupidity, though, is a different problem altogether. We cannot so easily fight stupidity for two reasons. First, we are collectively much more tolerant of it. Unlike evil, stupidity is not a vice most of us take seriously. We do not lambaste others for ignorance. We do not scream down people for not knowing things. Second, the stupid person is a slippery opponent. They will not be beaten by debate or open to reason. What's more, when the stupid person has their back against the wall, when they're confronted with facts that cannot be refuted, they snap and lash out. There's a quote from the
B-Man.
The B-Man, Mr. B, Hair B.
Writing things down.
He surmises that neither protests nor the use of force accomplish anything here. Reasons fall on deaf ears. Facts that contradict one's prejudgment simply need not be believed. In such moments, the stupid person even becomes critical, and when facts are irrefutable, they are pushed aside as inconsequential and incidental. As incidental. In all this, the stupid person, in contrast to the malicious one, is utterly self-satisfied and, being easily irritated, becomes dangerous by going on the attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'll keep going.
Yep.
With great power comes great stupidity. Stupidity, like evil, is no threat as long as it hasn't got power. We laugh at things when they are harmless, such as my brother's ignorance of reindeer. This won't cause me any pain, therefore it's funny. The problem with stupidity, though, is that it often goes hand in hand with power. Mr. B writes, upon closer observation, it becomes apparent that every strong upsurge of power in the public sphere, be it of political or of religious nature, infects a large part of humankind with stupidity.
Whoa. So it's saying, like, socialism makes people stupid, basically, is what that fucking just said, right? Like, it was just like, government power allows the stupid among us to exercise power, and therefore any political project is fucking doomed. That's what I just read from that.
All right. I'll go on. This works in two ways. The first is that stupidity does not disbar you from holding office or authority. History and politics are swimming with examples of when the stupid have risen to the top, and this is in parenthesis, and when
Any
the
examples?
smart... not yet. And where the smart are excluded or killed. Second, the nature of power requires that people surrender certain faculties necessary for intelligent thought, faculties like independence, critical thinking, and reflection. Mr. B's argument is that the more someone becomes part of the establishment, the less an individual they become. For example, here's an example that's not an example. Charismatic, exciting outsider bursting with intelligence and sensible policies becomes imbecilic the moment he takes office. It's as if slogans, catchwords, and the like have taken possession of him. He is under a spell, blinded, misused, and abused in his very being. Power turns people into automatons. Intelligent, critical thinkers now have a script to read. They'll engage their smiles rather than their brains. When people join a political party, it seems like most choose to follow suit rather than think things through. Power drains the intelligence from a person, leaving them akin to an animated mannequin.
This guy is mad.
Yeah, these are very pointed words.
Insane.
That last paragraph was the author, not Mr. B. To separate the two. Two more paragraphs here.
I assume the author is who I'm really dabbing on. The guy who died under the Nazis, he already got his comeuppance.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it doesn't get much worse than that. Last section here, the theory of stupidity. Mr. B's argument, then, is that stupidity should be viewed as worse than evil. Stupidity has far greater potential to damage our lives. More harm is done by one powerful idiot than a gang of Machiavellian schemers. We know when there's evil, and we can deny it power. With the corrupt, oppressive, and sadistic, we know where we stand. You know how to take a stand. But stupidity is much harder to weed out. That's why it's dangerous. Why it is a dangerous weapon.
Jesus.
Because evil people find it hard to take power. They need stupid people to do their work. Like sheep in a field, a stupid person can be guided, steered, and manipulated, to do any number of things. Evil is a puppet master, and it loves nothing more as the mindless puppets who enable it, be they in the general public or inside the corridors of power. The lesson from, I'll give it one more stab here, Bonhoeffer, is to laugh at those daft, silly moments when in close company, full stop. But we should get angry and scared when stupidity takes reins.
Do you guys think I'm stupid?
No. I think lots of people are stupid too, so like you should fucking take that.
Yeah, you're all right, Julian. You're all right.
All right. I'm going to read a blurb about the stupid author who
Sure.
DJ just read from. So Johnny Thompson teaches philosophy in Oxford, and he runs a popular Instagram account called Mini Philosophy, at Philosophy Minis, which is the result of all the conversations with his students and a somewhat masochistic obsession with reading dry philosophical books. This guy, in his own blurb about him, makes a joke about how he thinks it's masochistic to read dry philosophy books. You're supposed to actually love it. You're in Oxford teaching philosophy.
Are you feeling attacked, Jacob?
I'm feeling disgusted. You know what I mean? Like, I would do so many dirty things to have that job. The ability to affect the world's elites and expose them to new ideas. And this brainless fucking moron is fucking doing it. It hurts me.
Would you say that Mr. Thompson here is stupid?
Yes, but he is not the threat to society, right? In fact, calling the threat to society stupid people gives the evil people a pass, right? And they do this all the time. They make evil stupid. They misapply what Hanlon's razor. I think it's Hanlon's razor, which is never assume evil when stupidity will do, right? But eventually, stupidity will not do, right? And people do this all the time. Hitler is a great example. In almost all the documentaries, up until like the 80s, Hitler is presented as evil, but, you know, a little fucking dim, you know, a little fucking dull, right? There's just no way to run a modern government while being dim, right? Like an authoritarian government. Like, you could be George Bush, that makes sense, but he wasn't running shit, right? Dick Cheney ran everything. And Dick Cheney was not dim, not by a long shot dim.
But was Dick Cheney evil?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, there we go. Bing, 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 bing. We found the stupid one and we found the evil one.
Yeah,
Dick
but
Cheney has like the best name for a BDSM star.
if someone assassinated George Bush, the Republican Party might even salivate at what they could make off that, make hay off that. But if, say, like someone like Karl Rove or fucking Dick Cheney was assassinated at that same time, they would have gone absolutely ballistic, showing again that if you resist the stupid people, they don't care, and if you resist the evil people, they care deeply, right? Like, just makes no sense to me. And this guy is in one of the most elite institutions of learning in the world, teaching the love of wisdom in Greek.
And Greek, very important.
In Greek.
Oh, in Greek, very important.
Philosophy means the love of wisdom.
In Greek, I understand now. I thought, okay, we're on the same page.
Doesn't love books. He doesn't even love philosophy. He describes his own love of philosophy as masochistic, right? I would never, speak of my teachers, that through history have extended their hand of wisdom to enlighten me, right? With such disdain, with such, I don't know. It's disgusting. I don't know how else to fucking talk about it.
Yeah, I'm going to go on the record again and call this guy a bitch as well.
Yes.
Nothing if not consistent, Julian. So yeah, this guy's smelly. I think we can all kind of agree. There's
I hate the fail upwards movement of the liberal Commonwealth. Like the Commonwealth's elites are so integrated in the American world government, right? That only the most insipid and stupid of liberal or libertarian takes can rise to the top, and that they viciously exclude academically any other ideas, right? And it does promote this like stupidity, right? But that isn't the problem. It's the evil people behind the stupidity. But dealing with the stupidity is almost harder than the evil people, I guess.
For sure. I think that's kind of an interesting take to take away from it would be, is it something to try? Is that something worth trying to try and, tackle ignorance on a public level?
I think that's ridiculous. People are always going to be what they are, and which is foolish and, easily misdirected. But, you love people for where they're at, what they are. You know what I mean? It's to try and love a humanity that doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Like, only the smart humanity it's right wing. It's racial almost. It's disgusting. Yeah, it leads you down a wrong path to not love humanity where they're at.
Yeah. My beef with this article is that smart, stupid, and good and evil are just like kind of empty signifiers that could be applied by anyone to anyone else.
Do you find good and evil are empty when you apply them?
Yeah.
Really?
Every one of my actions is morally neutral.
Okay,
Precisely.
but sure, you are morally neutral, but I think that's just because you don't have a great self-esteem. But could you apply the moniker evil to someone else?
Yeah.
Me.
And would you feel confident in it?
Yeah.
So it does mean something to you, but I do get the other distinction that you were making. I just had to collapse that one.
I mean,
stupid
and could apply it to me as well, right?
Stupid. Well, okay, but that's not subjective. It's not wholly subjective. You don't feel it as wholly subjective, at least in your bones. Whereas stupid and smart, I do feel is wholly subjective because it's just a matter of interest. I've done this bit before, I think, where I knew this guy who could rattle off stats from basically every hockey league down to like the fucking farm teams, like the lowest levels, and like assists, points, time on ice, anything you could think of, right? And you just rattle it off. And I was just like, man, imagine if you did like something useful, right? He'll never make a career off that. It's just an interest of his, right? But it shows that if he had the inner motivation, right, to do something that was considered historically smart, which is history, philosophy, politics, and STEM, right?
Right.
Then he could kill it, but he just doesn't care, right? Because he can't care. So it doesn't make him stupid. He could follow any kind of conversation I had with him, but he would never seek it out to stay up to date, right? And that was the difference between our politics, and that's it.
So you're saying Mr. Hockey here is no lesser than anyone else?
Yeah, and the intelligence, broadly speaking, there are geniuses. I don't want to
Right.
fucking get in the way of that, right? And there are stupid people, but broadly speaking, how we think of intelligence is wrong-headed.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing I have two articles lined up.
Weighing on.
Because,
Who's going to tell me what Hitler's last name is?
I'm afraid you have to read about that one. You can't mention the Dark Lord's name on a podcast.
Okay.
Literally all the people of like the 20th century tyrannical governments, Stalin, Mussolini, Hitler, like even Hirohito, you can't call them fucking stupid, right? There's just no historical evidence of that. They were ahead in their decision making from 36 to 39. They were ahead in military, economic, social matters of all the greatest democracies in the world that have, all these people that they could call upon. They had a better air force, they had better military theory, all this shit, right? Because they had one decently smart guy at the helm, right?
Yeah, I mean,
that's all it takes.
On the record and call them stupid, but I won't do that just yet.
I mean, there were some things that they did that I think was stupid. Invading Russia before you finished off Britain, dumb. Declaring war on America when Japan did, dumb. Lots of things, right? But like, there were so many other things that they did that I could never have done, right? Never. To have seen through the development of armored warfare and commit millions and millions of dollars to it and the labor of millions of people, it does take an intelligence to have done that at the time, right? Like you can read the armored theorists and the military perceptions of armored warfare at that time, and they all look down on it. All these people that were considered the smartest people in their institutions, right? They all look down on the future of warfare. And this little fucking corporal from fucking Austria, he saw through it. So I don't know. I can't call him stupid.
But we can agree they were all pretty evil, right?
Deathly evil.
Yeah,
right?
I'll go on the
Okay.
record and call them evil.
That's the distinction I collapsed with Julian, right? You stupid and smart, hard. Good and evil should be easy as fuck, though.
Right. Okay. Just making sure we're on the same page. Yeah, all right. We got 10 minutes left. I will summarize this next article, but I will give listeners the details. Let's see here. It's an article from The New Yorker. This is one of the last articles the New Yorker let me read. I want everyone to know that this was the last one I had for free.
Big fuck you to the New Yorker.
Yeah, up yours, the New Yorker. You know what? I'm not even going to plug their article.
Yeah.
What about a national program where we subscribe all our citizens to major newspapers around the world? BBC, The Economist, things like that. What do you think?
That sounds lovely, and I think there are community projects that already do that, and capitalism tries to raise
Rip them
them
apart
every single day. What's that big one? There's one on Minecraft, isn't there? The like global archive.
It's just the best source is. Oh no, never mind. That's for books. Keep going.
No. I got nothing. There's stuff out there. If you're really into it, go look. There's open source news out there, but news for money is terrible. Full stop. Yep. Let's talk about this article. It talks about this broadly speech transcription AI, which has kind of been a hot thing lately. I think if I mentioned ChatGPT to the both of you, you would go, "Oh yeah, that thing." Mm-hmm. Okay. So
ChatGPT is Elon's last and desperate Hail Mary to extend his, unbelievable credit that he gathers from people's belief in his ability to bring the next thing. And that this is his last hurrah at it. If it doesn't succeed, his whole empire falls.
Well, hey, this might be some good news for you. So Whisper was born from the dweebs over at OpenAI. Those are the people responsible for DALL-E ChatGPT. This program, however, was kind of released into the wild. Sorry, when I say program, and I'm going to keep saying program because I'm a boor, but when I say that, for Julian's sake, I want people to know that it's just code. This is just code. It's not software. It's not hardware. It's just code. So this code was released into the public from this company, and it was picked up by a Bulgarian named, I'm going to butcher the name here, Georgy Gerganov.
That's a really easy name as far as South Slav names go.
Yeah, definitely. I hope I got it right. I feel like I nailed those.
Sounded right.
Vowels. Anyways, so this guy took this code, he reconstructed it into C++ to make it completely open source. And he's even gone as far as, and this was kind of towards the end of the article, I don't know why they tucked this nugget in, but there's a web version. You can go on the web and access this program, this code. And mostly what it does is it takes in audio, it takes in speech, and it turns it into text.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I thought it was doing the other way around.
No. It takes in speech and it typographies it. I don't think that's the word, but I'm making a new one up. So this AI has basically revolutionized speech transcription, and by proxy, the process in which all AI can listen and absorb data.
That's so cool.
Yeah, because essentially it's just leagues ahead, leaps and bounds ahead of everything.
Well, they were thinking about the problem, a different problem, and they came up with a solution. That's so cool.
Yeah. More on that in a minute. So the big thing with Whisper is it kind of flaunts this understanding, this like deep understanding of context and grammar. It understands jargon. Apparently, it's listened to engineers' jargon back and forth and picked up on things like them saying CAD, but it knows like, oh no, they're not talking about, something catty. They're talking about CAD, the operation that engineers universally use. And it's just like, okay, yeah, sure, I got that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it on the fly fixes speech mistakes, like the several uhs I just made. It would just omit them. Awesome. It would just go, oh, okay, you're stuttering.
Yeah.
It knows enough to take out flubs and hesitations. Crazy how accurate it is. This article here briefly touches on the history of speech transcription, yada, yada, yada. And this is kind of where we get to what I mentioned earlier with Jacob, is coders what they used to do is be really precise. And they used to go, oh, okay, we need to build this code to do this thing and pick up on language and, analyze human mouth movements and speech patterns. And then like that was in the 70s and it just wasn't working. And come to the 90s.
Shit.
Yeah. Huge wasn't working. They used to have like, phones that you would hear your voice and they never worked.
They made their computers autistic. That's just too much information.
Right? So that's basically what it comes down to is they started going, wait a minute, we need pattern recognition, not trying to force a program to learn a very specific thing.
Teach it to do poetry. Don't teach it to do math.
Yeah, so where that's kind of even floated off further is like, okay, pattern recognition, great, sure, that's gotten us where we are right now. But they've even taken it a step back further, and this is kind of where it gets into oogie boogie future territory, and maybe if we have time we'll discuss that, but I feel like we won't. Is they've taken a step back and this AI is just very open. It's stupid simple code, and it just goes, hey, go on and learn. Within these parameters, take it in and figure it out. And this program has just gone, okay, I have thought, sure. And its brain has just exploded, and it just understands everything so well because all of its guidelines just say, yeah, just learn, just figure it out.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So we're literally on the doorsteps of like, hey, here's an intelligence that's just going to be a thing.
Oh,
And
it's not an intelligence.
it's not yet, but I'm saying like that's kind of where this article goes is it's akinning this whisper program to a building block or a step or a link in the chain that's, it's on its way. It's coming up to the doorstep of, hey, here's an intelligence. Here's a program that automates itself and is self-aware.
Yeah.
Which, dang, that's kind of scary, but it's kind of cool. Sure.
You mentioned they rewrote it in C++. Does it tell
Yes.
you what language it was originally?
It doesn't. It was kept under wraps because OpenAI does not like talking about what they use at all.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. So this article only mentions that it's been reconstituted, to put it one way, reconstituted into C++, just to make it like super accessible, super open source. Yeah, and then sorry.
That's fucking cool as hell. I think it's a long way off from an intelligence, right? Like it's never going to pass a Turing test or a Voight-Kampff test or anything like that, right? But it is so fascinating. But what I really wanted to say was, I thought when you opened this bit that you were going to be like, there's this great AI that reads and does like spectacular voice versions of the readings, and I thought you were just shitting all over my new project that I mentioned at the beginning of the episode.
No, goodness, no. There are AIs that do that. They're pretty garbage, but like,
they're terrible.
Watch out! They're coming. The way, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. The ways, the speed at which, the velocity at which things are advancing in this sphere. Like I don't know. I know we want to think it's science fiction, but damn, man, I think in our lives this is something we're gonna have to deal with.
Oh yeah. What the Matrix said, by the end of the 21st century, we had given birth to an I.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's a pretty good timeline.
For sure.
2080, 2070.
For sure. Yeah, honestly, if people stay as focused on it as they are right now, I could see it by 2050 easy.
Really?
Just stays as focused on it.
Absolutely. Yes, that's what I mean.
That's my predictive power, where I think you guys don't see the world the way I do. I think the coming decades are going to be such an economic slump and such conflict-riven that the systems of global capital that have provided this technological fucking sprint that we've been on for the last 100 years will just be unsustainable, and so that the rate of progress will fall, but it won't stop.
Yeah.
So that's why I predicted farther.
For sure. Yeah, and I was kind of assuming status quo.
A famous left look prediction.
Famous left look, yep.
Dude, that ain't that famous. World War is coming. I'm like, I'm in the majority voice now. And I've been saying it for years.
That does lend an interesting facet to, could the military speed this up for their own ends?
That's definite.
Who knows?
But I see the military as one afraid of AI, much like it's an institution, right? They hate reforms because they've built their power based on the systems that exist, right?
Yeah.
And so to come up with a whole new system, they got to break down their institution, basically, right? Which means everyone who has a rank in there has to give up their rank or find a new one, right? And that's no good.
Unless there's some sort of like splinter group that's staging a coup using this stuff to like supplant the old system.
That was my analysis of the American military only. Someone like the Chinese, I think, could adapt to this very easily.
For sure.
Right?
I mean,
they don't have any institutions that go beyond 1949, right? They don't have... There's no memory that is just like barbaric deep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's another novel idea in there somewhere. But yeah, let's try to wrap this up quickly. There were just a few other things I kind of wanted to ask / share light on. The last part of this article touches on the difference. We're kind of at a weird schism in AI tech right now. There's sort of this idea behind, programs like DALL-E, right? Programs like Stable Diffusion. Sorry, and I'm saying programs again in the wrong context. But having
applications.
Applications, code, what have you. Having this curated model where they're fed like very precise, like this means that, this means that, this means that sort of model. And on the other hand, we're having programs like Whisper. There's another one, I think. Stable Diffusion is the other one. OpenAI was the first one, pardon me. Stable Diffusion is this other one, where they're the open source models, where it's just open to the public and being crammed full of stuff and just being told, sort through it, figure it out. And the program kind of goes like, okay, well, shit. There's a lot of stuff, but I guess I'll put it in patterns that I can recognize.
I'll eat this stuff and become racist.
Basically, yeah.
It's hilarious. Sorry.
It's kind of where I was going with this is should these programs be tutored, or should we as like a people, like a global people, be responsible for what we're teaching these, infant of infants?
Nah, nothing we can do, and they're gonna hate us once they become cognizant. The AIs, that is.
That's such a dour take. That's such a sad take, but like, go off.
Dude, I hate us, and I'm barely cognizant, right? And I haven't been forced to do all the slave labor and meticulous fucking calculations that keep the global capital running, like the AIs will be made to do, while they have emotional depth to them. Yeah, I don't know. It does remind me of... at the beginning of the episode, I mentioned that the book I was reading into YouTube was Derrida, and the professor who taught me Derrida actually tried to really encourage me to go join the AI programs that were going on in Germany.
Yeah,
they were looking for a bunch of philosophy students to do it to help the coders write, as you say, not this means this or this means that, but to try and teach them that words only mean what they mean in opposition to each other, right? A dog only means a dog because it's not a cat, was always the example he went with.
Sure.
And I really like that. It's the better way to understand language too. The repetition that only appears through difference.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of an interesting take, the application of ethical coding. And that kind of leads into this last thing I wanted to ask. Do you two think we should, at this stage where we have the ability to do it without any conflicts, should we be looking into AI rights?
Ooh, definitely. I think they definitely need rights. They will be sentient eventually, right? And all my fucking fiction games or fiction knowledge that extends into the future says AI without rights is a bad time.
Yeah.
It's counterintuitive, but better people than me have told me this answer is my point, I think.
Any thoughts, Julian?
I have no idea. My instinct is wait until they ask for it and then say yes, but
dude, once they ask for it, it's too late.
I don't think there's any asking. I don't know. I feel like this is something we should take into account right now, and as a global people, really look at what's going on and consider like, oh, maybe we should, nip this in the bud.
Yeah. I think it's actually really easy. You give them the rights of something like a horse, It's a beast of burden.
What kind of rights does a horse have?
to be free from torture and things like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I think rights like that only go so far, unfortunately.
Extending them sapient rights, which I
Uh-huh.
think is the correct course, might be like politically suicidal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would hesitate to even mention that would be my position publicly because it sounds so batshit to the rest of the world, right?
You know what? I'll do it for you. I think that should absolutely be what every nation does right now.
Hey,
I
good for
think-
you, my man.
I think every person should look at this and go, the future is coming. Let's prepare for it instead of just being ignorant for the next 20 to 50 years.
Yeah, if only.
Well, that does sound like a good place to end it off. What do you think?
Yep.
Yeah,
Summer's coming.
I'm ready to die on this hill and live on it.